again to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Guess what? I am Mr. Warren Hayes with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in live here tonight. And this is a new thing for me, doing actual live in the flesh situations where I pop on stream and do actual live interactions with folks. Like to shout out to everyone who's in the chat right now. I see Anthony from Smart to Death. I see JPQ, Twisted Silent, Darcy Barker. Hope a lot more people join in. And the best way to get people to join in would be to tell them that Mr. Warren Hayes is streaming live. Talk about Monday Night Raw, because that's what we're going to be talking about. So tweet it out. Send the links out there. Put them on your social media. Call your mom. I bet she's worried sick about you right now at 11:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She's not asleep because she's worried about you. Her little boy, her little girl, wondering how you're doing. Just give her a call. Say, Mom, I'm doing great. By the way, Warren Hayes is on YouTube right now. Why don't you go join him? Oh boy, we're gonna just before we jump in officially here, and we start going through the business. I'm trying to start my friggin' stopwatch to make sure I don't go over 1 hour too much. There we go. Just a few things. Tomorrow, SmackDown Live is coming your way, my way, every day, all the time, and so I'll be doing my review, my recap show. And if you enjoyed the live thing, well, why don't you let me know either on Twitter, leave a comment. Might do it again tomorrow then. Might turn this into a thing. That's what the kids call it these days. Call it a thing. We'll do that. Then on Wednesday, another live show that I do over at FightfulSelect.com. I do my 205 Live NXT Mae Young Classic recap show. It's going to be the last edition of the Mae Young Classic recap, which is kind of a shame because the finals are coming up. Because because the show is coming to a conclusion with the tournament finals being held at Evolution this Sunday. So it's going to be the last part there, but you can still join in. And the way that you join in is you subscribe to Fightful Select. And Fightful Select is the premium service for Fightful.com. Excellent, fantastic, premier combat news sports website. You get your pro wrestling, MMA, boxing, it's all there. You go to FightfulWrestling.com and all your pro wrestling news is all nice and tidy and all packed up into one nice little package just for you. So you go check that out. That's a lot of fun. And then if you sign up to FightfulSelect.com, well, then you get a whole bunch of extra content. You get a buttload of members-only podcasts. Now, if you were wondering what a buttload represents, what it is, well, Fightful Select has a buttload. It physically has the amount of podcasts required to be considered a buttload. You get the Weekender podcast, which is Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor. He does that every week, covers everything that's non-WWE. He talks about Lucha Underground, Impact, NWA, Ring of Honor, New Japan. He talks about it all. Covers news, injury reports, so on and so forth. Then you get me. I do, as I said, my weekly 205 Live NXT recap show. Then we do monthly, or perhaps becoming soon bi-monthly, pay-per-view retro reviews. We've taped a couple last week, Sean and I, so we've got those in the pipe, as they say in the biz. They're coming down the way, so that'll be exciting. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Just go over to FightfulSelect.com, take a look at it. It's fantastic. And then later on in the week, it'll either be Thursday. I think I'm going to be taping this on Thursday, so maybe released on Thursday evening, Friday, you never know. I'm going to be doing my Evolution prediction show. And I'm going to be joined by none other than my pally pal, Harmony, who, yes, is essentially just one name, like Prince, or that time where Apollo Crews only had one name. Yeah, no, but we have basically Harmony, who's going to be joining me. She's actually she contributes over at the Daily DDT. She writes a bunch of articles covering women's wrestling. She also has a really cool podcast called Head Over Heels. It's a Glow podcast that you should check out at headoverheels.lisbon, libsyn.com. She'll be joining me. It's going to be fantastic. Instead of me just sitting around and giving my old white dude impressions of what should happen at Evolution, going to have some interesting counterpoints by someone who actually covers women's wrestling very, very in depth. She has a lot of opinions. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to be Thursday. Got a busy week. Busy week. But you know how it's always a good way to start off these recaps that I do. There's always a good thing. Always a great way to start. And that is with bold predictions. Yes, bold predictions. I have a brand new introductory GIF right here. Look at that. The production value of the Warren Hayes Show continues to rise. It continues to expand and grow. Bold predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Every day that there is a main roster show, I go on Twitter and ask people, I'll ask my timeline, give us your boldest predictions of what you think will happen on WWE Raw. And we're going to take a gander at this. We're going to take a look. We're going to have a look-see. Check out a few of these bold predictions that I received, right? Unless I have more technical difficulties. There we go. We're going to start by John Olin, my man. John Olin's bold prediction goes as follows. Goldust comes out and challenges Velveteen Dream to a runway off. And Will Ferrell guest stars. That's very bold. It's very bold, but very complimentary at the same time. I like it. That's a good prediction. Thank you, John. Next, we have Bevan Bootchuck, whose name usually is Boychuck, I guess. Kane challenges Jerry Lawler to a match. Mayor of Knox County versus the King of Memphis. The monarchy versus democracy. Isn't that a story for the ages, folks? Wouldn't you say, wouldn't you agree, wouldn't you concur that this is the case? That's a bold prediction. Very good. We have Zeus here, who had the prediction saying, Sergeant Slaughter returns to defend Saudi Arabia. Wouldn't you all bet, wouldn't you put some money here saying that someone in creative in WWE actually probably discussed this? That'd be something. Whoa, I'm skipping. I'm going to go back here, but in a second. Next one, Brotherly Love Wrestling. Leo Rush announces that he'll be entering the Royal Rumble, then get pulled through the ring, never to be seen again. And in the spirit of Halloween, because there's the hashtag Halloween that accompanies it. But never to be seen again is one thing, but will he ever be heard of again? Graham says 5 minutes to the end of the main event, lights go out and boom, this happens. Cody Rhodes comes back, but as in his dashing gimmick. Woof. That's very bold as far as prediction goes. Wilfred Watches, another pally friend, did a podcast with him recently, joined him on his podcast where we watched an old New Japan match with two Westerners, Andre the Giant versus Stan the Man Hansen. Go check it out. Follow him at Wilfred Watches on Twitter. Then go sign up to his podcast. He's always doing fantastic stuff, even if I'm not around. He says in a strange twist of fate, Stephanie McMahon reveals her ancestry DNA report to the audience, and she is none other than the daughter of the Brooklyn Brawler. Evolution is now moved to 128th and St. Nicholas Avenue in Queens. That's very bold. Jacob Bright says they bring back the Hardcore Championship, and Mick Foley wins it, goes to run out of the arena and gets nailed with a code breaker by Sin Cara, and he pins him, and he takes the mask off, and it's Chris Jericho, and he just runs down the street with the title. That sounds right. That would actually be pretty cool. I skipped over a bold prediction or two, and I'll just go back. We did the Zeus one. Yes, Jen Pixel here, good friend from over on the Discords on Wilfred Watches' Discord and the Smart to Death Discord, which you should go check out. Very active, fun conversations. Go check out either on their Twitter to get the full deets. Here's something truly bold. They'll announce they've canceled Crown Jewel and apologize for the lack of focus on Evolution. And then they'll announce women's tag titles that will be awarded to the team that wins 4-team tournament to be held instead of the Battle Royal. You know, Jen, I can tell that there's a lot of wishful thinking in this one. It's more than bold. It's like you're emptying your soul. You're burying yourself for all to see here, right? Am I right? And then we saw Brotherly Love Wrestling. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Today's edition of Bold Predictions. I'm pretty proud of the little animation I did. If you like the animation, share this link out to your friends. Let me get my notes. Oh, man. All right. So, Raw tonight begins with Roman Reigns coming to the ring in very much civilian clothes. And I'm sort of joking around on Twitter as he's coming out because he doesn't quite look like himself. And I'm kind of joking around and saying, you know what? Roman is probably he's probably going to relinquish the title. Well, I was joking around about it, but it became serious really, really quickly. Because, as you know by now, he's let us know that he has leukemia, that he's been battling leukemia for years, and now it's coming back. That's not a good thing. And he's going to be taking some time off to go fight it back. When he announced it, I mean, okay, I'm gonna it's still very fresh. I mean, it's only been about 3 hours away, and not that I'm that I've never been that sold on Roman Reigns. I'm not that big a fan of his, but I can appreciate the work that he does and everything that he's done for the business and the WWE. Now we're up to a point where this has nothing to do with Roman Reigns himself. This is the man has to go through something absolutely terrible. Having to go back and fight a very pernicious and terrible disease. So what I'm wondering right now is, not what I'm wondering, but what I'm thinking is that I'm a little impressed. I'm a lot impressed with the way the audience reacted to Roman's news, because he came out and he got his usual very mixed bag of a reaction, and that's fine. You know, that's what we expect from Roman. But when he gave the news and announced what was going on, he basically said, everyone sort of just shut up. There was like a complete silence in the audience. And to me, that was an incredible sign of respect and class, yes, but also that people do understand the difference between characters and people. And I saw the very snarky tweets online of people saying, well, they should have done this. He should have announced his leukemia a long time ago. That would have got him over. You know, at some point, you can let go of the work. Is it a work or is it real situation? You can just not be overly overly snarky about it, and just take a moment to let that sink in. A human being is who's going to set aside a whole bunch of dreams and hopes that he had for himself to go fight something that is beyond him, that's inside him on one end, but is also but that's also very that's just difficult and can have very, very life-changing consequences. I wish nothing but the best for Joe Anoa'i. I hope he pulls through, and I hope we do see him again soon. We'll talk about redemption stories and being over and whatnot on another occasion when he does come back. But for now, I think I just want to take a moment and absorb the news and let it be. I don't want to get into over speculation or whatnot. This was actually it was difficult. One of the rare moments I've actually become, and you can tell by the way I'm speaking, I'm still having trouble putting it into words, but it's one of the moments where I actually got really, really misty-eyed. Especially, when he goes up with the Shield dudes and Seth is in tears. He's like struggling to keep it in. And then they switch over to commentary, which I thought was really, again, super classy, that they waited till they came back from commercial. They came back from commentary, didn't say a word for the entire segment, the entire opening segment. Come back from commercial. Commentary still not talking. They're recapping the situation. Then they cut to the trio. And Corey Graves is just standing there, and you can tell he's a wreck. And he's voicing his thoughts about his kids, and his voice is cracking, and I'm like, shut up, Graves. You're just going to make me start crying on my couch. I was this close. It was a very emotional moment, and it sucks for Roman Reigns, for Joe. And I hope he gets better and comes back to us in whatever shape or form. This is not a way to go out, regardless of what you think about the guy and what he does in the ring. I don't know what you guys in chat think, but think about it, but let me know. So this leads us into Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley. So basically Finn comes out, and he coming out alone. This is not a mix match promo thing. He comes out all by himself. Bobby comes out with Lio Rush, of course, who does the hype thing with the Lashley chants. And I like Lio Rush. I like him a great deal. I love him. But I mean, I can do without the constant. I can do without the constant Lashley stuff. So Bobby Lashley comes out, starts using his power on Finn Balor. Of course, this is a mismatch, weight, strength, size, etc. Rush gets on the mic again to start hyping him. And honestly, they're going to have to really nip this gimmick in the bud, because it's going to get annoying real fast. Or give him a megaphone. Give him, if we're gonna have a legit hype man, a la Jimmy Hart, then put something in his hand that isn't the house PA, because it's just too overwhelming. You know, they give the Lucha House Party on 205 Live. They give him noisemakers, and they're the baby faces. Just give him something to make some noise with. Rush runs some interference that allows Lashley to wipe Balor out on the outside. Back from commercial, Bobby's in control. Balor battles back. Goes for a crossbody, but Lashley catches him. Samoan drop, goes for the cover. Balor kicks out. Bob does the standing vertical suplex, but the stalling, not standing, because all suplexes are standing, right? Standing vertical suplex, that's dumb. Stalling vertical suplex. But Balor wriggles out. Sling Blade goes for the coup de grace, but Lashley gets up and takes him down with a clothesline. He then picks him up and goes for his not Dominator. But Finn counters out, rolls him up for the win. Finn Balor, ya boy, gets a win over Bobby Lashley. Good for him. Commentary was mentioning at first that, they were talking with Finn earlier, and Finn was like, I got to be able to start, I feel like I've been disappointing my fans, and I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so go me. I'm going to start racking up wins, and there you go. Bit of a surprise win. Quick look at the chat here. Still talking about the Roman Reigns news. Anthony at Smart to Death says Seth and Graves is what got me. So pretty much the same on my end. I was when I saw Graves, I was this close to losing it. Twisted Silence says it was real sad and I feel awful for him. I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but do you think that's why they've been pushing him so hard because of his cancer? I don't want that to sound awful. I just want to hear your thoughts. Yeah, actually, Anthony was talking about this in the Discord, in the Smart to Death Discord earlier this evening, and it came to mind. And I don't want to think that that's what it was, but I'd assume that this is not a surprise for Vince McMahon and some higher ups in the WWE or some very, very close friends to Roman. I mean, I'm pretty sure this was a secret that they kept very close to their chest. Maybe, but you also think that they would have put the title on him earlier and instead of dragging. I don't want to sound callous either, but let's laugh. Let's have a little levity out of this. If indeed, let's say at the beginning of the year, Roman goes up to and I have no idea how these treatments work or how you find cancer out, but let's say he goes up to Vince and says, "Look, Vince, I've had some tests and my levels of so and so are pretty high in my bloodstream, and I'm thinking that." Maybe the leukemia is coming back, and Vince is like, "Well, pal, we're gonna put the Universal title on you as soon as possible, pal." Then it's like, greatest Royal Rumble, and what? I mean, he spent like the better part of 2018 chasing the title. If it was so critical to get it off him because of the cancer, you'd think they would have done it before SummerSlam. You know what I mean? Cripes, could have done it at Money in the Bank or at WrestleMania, So, yeah, I don't think that it was a factor. They probably knew about it, but it probably wasn't a factor either. JPQ says it was quite the moment. It was handled well. It was, though. It was really handled well. It was very classy, very well done segment. There was and someone on Twitter was saying, that they felt that WWE was kind of shitty sending Roman out like that all by himself. But then, without talking about it, with just dropping him in there. But then how do you build to that? Roman Reigns has a big announcement. It sounds kind of, had they built it, it would have come across as a little disingenuous, a little phony. Like, it's a very tricky slope. You can't really blame them for just letting Roman go out there and do the thing, do his speech without having some previous build-up, because if they had hyped it, then we would have been, oh, of course, they want to take advantage of one man's disease to put themselves over WWE, I think it would have been worse. The opposite would have definitely been worse. JPQ says Kelly is now winning the Women's Battle Royal. She's my pick. but we'll talk about it in a little while. Next, we had a match, a women's match between Sasha Banks versus Ruby Riott. Sasha is accompanied by Bayley and Natalya, and Ruby is accompanied by her usual crew. But before we get to the match, as Sasha and Bayley, after Sasha is introduced, and before the Riott Squad come out, there's a backstage promo with Dolph and Drew because, you want the ladies to spend as much time in the ring doing nothing for the live crowd as possible. They say now that they've screwed up against, that they turned on Braun, they need to be focused, and now they have to look over the shoulder. They have to be careful. But Drew reassures Dolph and says, Braun needed them more than they needed him. Fair. Personally, I think Dolph needs everyone in that trio more than anyone else needs him. I like Dolph. That was a joke. So now we actually have our match, Ruby versus Sasha. There's some back and forth until Sasha hits a Meteora, goes for a cover, only gets 2. The Riott Squad runs some interference. Sasha goes for the springboard arm drag off the top rope, but she kind of whiffs it, and she lands on her feet instead of following through. A bit of a blunder, but nothing too serious. It just didn't look good. She goes for a baseball slide to Ruby Riott on the outside, but the squad gets in the way, pulls Ruby out of the way, actually. There's a standoff between both trios who will be fighting each other at Evolution. Let's not forget, that's why we're having this match, because at some point you do have to have some build-up to these Evolution matches, right? Ruby hits the STO on Sasha. Sasha battles out of a chin lock, gets a knee to Ruby's face, battles back with a series of lariats. Second rope Meteora connects. Then she hits the backstabber into the bank statement, which is still super cool. In the meantime, Bayley takes care of Logan. Natalya gets involved as well. But the squad overcomes the baby faces on the outside. So Sasha, in a moment of complete psychological mystery, decides to release her hold on Ruby Riott to go out and help her friends. But Riott takes advantage of all of this garbage and hits the right kick for the win. This was a fine match. I thought Sasha looked motivated, which was one of the things that I feel Sasha hasn't done in a long time, is actually give us the impression that she actually wants to be in the ring. And I thought she was motivated. As far as TV matches go, this was fine. It was an okay match. The only thing that really bugged me was Sasha at the end deciding to let go of the bank statement to go out and help her friends who were already knocked out at this point. It's not as if she was a difference maker. She had Ruby in her finisher. Why didn't she just finish through? Why didn't she just go through? Chat, let me know what you think about that match. Am I wrong? Do I think did the conclusion seem okay to you? I thought it was a little weird. Let me know. We get a promo from the Brothers of Destruction. Is it a promo? Is it another promo? Is it the same promo as last week? Boiler Room? I think it turns out that it was the same promo. You know what? Because I haven't been paying attention. I haven't been paying attention to the Brothers of Destruction and their promo work, because it doesn't. This is when after. No. So we get the promo, and then after commercial, when we come back, then we get D-Generation X. Triple H and Shawn Michaels coming to the ring. Triple H has a microphone, so does Shawn. And H says lots of big words being thrown around Shawn over the past couple of weeks, like fear. Fear's not a big word. Hunter, Jean Paul. Mr. Levesque. It's not a big word. I think what you meant to say is loaded. You know, perhaps forefronted. No, maybe more loaded. I'm not even sure forefronted is a real word, but you get it. I don't think big word was the word you were looking for because it makes you sound stupid, because fear is a 4-letter word, monosyllabic. It's going to take a lot more to instill fear into them, says Hunter, than taking a GoPro and walking down the stairs to the boiler room of the Knoxville, Tennessee City Hall. Put on your mask and cut a promo. Sean had a funny line saying, everyone's talking about nostalgia. I was hoping that nostalgia was a Greek word that meant new merch. I should put that on a t-shirt. And this is it got kind of sad really quickly, because then they tried they both, especially Hunter, tries to show off the fact that nostalgia has nothing to do with age. You know that you can be old but still draw, basically, and he points to the new Halloween movie that came out last weekend and was #1 at the box office as an example of nostalgia working. And he's like, hey, we sold out in Australia and they came to see us. And honestly, he's starting to sound like Hogan now. And it's really, you have to appreciate the irony of Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Shawn Michaels, two guys who always sort of bucked and were mad that it was always the same guys getting the chances and the opportunities, and the old guard, how much the old guard sucked. The Billionaire Ted skits back in the 90s. I'm pretty sure Shawn was involved in the Billionaire Ted skits. Now, here we are. Kind of weird. Anyway, they get interrupted by the Brothers of Destruction. We're in a cemetery and they're cutting promos. They're cutting promos. Their promos sound like Bludgeon Brothers promos. It's as if the writing team had a whole stack of Bludgeon Bros promos ready. They had them all fleshed out, but Eric Rowan got injured, and now that we're gonna sideline the team. And now we got to do something with all these promos. We have fresh material here, guys. Well, let's send him over to Ken and Taker. I don't get it. I'm not excited. I can't get excited for this. Not yet. Maybe they'll do something that will get me excited. There's plenty other stuff to get excited about tonight. And this is shortly thereafter they announced that there is going to be a new Universal Champion who's going to be crowned at Crown Jewel between Brock and Braun. So the three-way has become a standard main event one-on-one for the Universal Championship. Can't wait to see how that pans out now. JPQ in the chat says Riot versus Sasha, Bailey, and Natalya is going to steal the show at Evolution. It'll probably look, if they give these ladies time to work, it'll be fantastic. Will it steal the show? My money is on Sane and Baszler as far as just show stealing performance goes. That's what's my money on. As a sidebar, I think that, a lot of people are focusing on the main event, Rousey versus Nikki Bella. A lot of people are focusing on the Battle Royal, maybe how poorly booked everything kind of is. But there are some excellent matches to look forward to. Mae Young Classic Finals are going to be there. Don't want to spoil, but that's going to be excellent. It has the potential to be. I really think Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane is going to steal the show. And Charlotte and Becky, that's going to be something. That's going to be something. I think this is their blow-off match. This is where Becky establishes herself as a true women's badass. Can't wait to see it. Paul Heyman comes out. He offers his thoughts and prayers to Roman Reigns. He's choked up as well. You can tell that he just by his eyes that he had a bit of a cry maybe backstage. But then again, let's not forget the Oscar-worthy performance that he put on a couple of weeks before SummerSlam as well. You never know with Paul. Talking about sacrifice, how Roman sacrificed his career, his obligations because he can't fulfill his obligations to the WWE in the state that he's in, and only one can carry the legacy of the championship that Roman has established, and that sure as hell ain't Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, you can't compete with Brock Lesnar. You can't. You're not even in the same. You're not in the same league as Brock Lesnar. You're not even in the same species as Brock Lesnar, which it escalated perfectly to that point. And just as he says that, well, Braun Strowman interrupts and comes down the ramp. He's got a microphone and he says he's going to beat Brock. Not only is he going to beat him, he's going to give Roman the first shot at the title when he comes back. And as he's saying that, he doesn't realize that from behind, Drew McIntyre, or should we call him Air McIntyre, with a flying claymore. But, woo, it was a jet, man. The air that he got on that claymore, that was nuts. I mean, it took out Braun Strowman. Hell, it could take out a bus. He could incapacitate an entire bus. And I'm not talking like a little 16 passenger bus. No way, dude. Like a 50 passenger coach. Woo! That was something. It's got me all hot now. Backstage, Drew is interviewed. He's asking him, "Aren't you afraid of the repercussions of what you've just done?" He says, "I'm not a bloody child. I don't look in my closet or under my bed for monsters. You know, when Braun wakes up, he'll know the truth. He needed us." All right. Elias is in the ring. You know, Elias, when he came up on main, he was not a very good guitarist. Like, you know, he knew a couple of chords. It was very, very basic. But man, his picking has improved dramatically. I was listening to him tonight, I'm like, my God. He's been in Maine for what, like over 18 months now? 16, 18 months? He's committed to this gimmick. For real. Apollo Crews interrupts his song because they're having a match. Apollo's in control early on. He runs the ropes. He flips over Elias, who's on the mat. Then leapfrogs Elias. And Elias runs into a standing dropkick. Nice little segment there. He tosses Elias to the outside. Does a moonsault off the apron. Come on! Back from commercial, and Elias has him in a headlock. Crews starts to battle back. He hits Elias with an enziguri. He kicks him. He kicks him. Kip up. He does the shooting star press. Standing shooting star press, which misses most of Elias, but that's not the point. The point is that he did it. And, you know, I'm here for an Apollo Crews push. I think it's overdue. This is something that needs to happen. So I'm okay that they're giving him airtime and that they're giving him wins. But commentary sort of has to get behind them. They were zero excited for this match. And you know how sometimes people say, this match didn't feel important, didn't feel special. I say all matches are important. All matches are special because, you do have performers putting their bodies out in the line, out there on the line. But here's the ticket. Here's the thing, is that if your commentary team isn't selling that the match is cool, that what's happening is important or fun or amazing, then everything is just going to seem like very average. There was basically no reaction when he did the moonsault off the apron. When he did the standing shooting star press, there was even less reaction. It was all very matter of fact. Like, oh, he hit it. Wow, what a move. And especially if they're trying to build Apollo as a potential star, well, you sort of have, this is how you put him over. This is how you put over his credibility. You don't always talk about his his amateur background. Don't care about his amateur background. What we care about is what happens in front of our eyes. It's like when they start talking about, the Bellas, yes, they're accomplished wrestlers, but on top of that, wow, what a couple of businesswomen, eh? They have 2 TV reality shows. They have a clothing line. They have a clothing line for children, whatever. And so, wow, I don't give a shit about what they do outside of WWE, because the moment that they arrive here and that they start entertaining me, that's the point. I want to get behind what they do in the ring. I don't care what they do on the outside. It's of zero consequence to me. Anyway, the match ends with Elias hitting a running knee, then the drift away, and 50-50 booking rears its ugly head once again, which is kind of a shame. Kurt then starts running down the list of World Cup competitors, putting them all over in a teleprompter promo, which was dull. Man, Kurt has much more natural delivery than that. That was awful. It almost felt like a pitch. It's as if they were pitching the competitors to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, telling him, hey, sure, Warrior's dead, but look at all these guys here. Look at all their pedigrees. It felt like a pitch. It's weird. We come back from commercial and John Cena has a children's book. And I think it's the funniest thing. Hang on, let me take a look at this. John Cena, it was called Greasy Gears? What was it called? I can't remember. No, that's not it. Hang on. John Cena children's book. I thought I remembered the title, but I don't. All right. Elbow Grease by John Cena. Oh my goodness. Published by Penguin Random House. And he's publishing it. Oh my goodness. All right. So my question is, how much is this? Okay. The ebook is like $12. Yeah. The ebook is like $12 Canadian. I think I might review it. I think I might buy it and review it, because I think it's hilarious that he wrote a book about monster trucks. I really think it's funny. I'm taking a look inside here. Why don't I hang on a second? I'm looking at all of this myself, but I think I'm going to share it with you guys. Give me a quick sec here. I'm just going to pull up this and get window. Bear with me, folks. Elbow grease. There we go. Let's take a look at that. Let's see here. We can look inside. Can we see well enough here? Is that good? Let me pull this. Let me sort of do one of these. Okay. Let's take a look. This is a preview. Number of pages is limited. Okay. John Cena, elbow grease. Elbow. What? Oops. I want to. I can't make the. I sort of wanted the. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're in control now. Come on, bro. The story is starting. That tickles. What tickles? Because it tickles because his mechanic is playing under his. The mechanic is fiddling under the car. It tickles. There's Flash. Then there's Crash and Tank and Pinball. Look at that. John Cena, elbow grease. Hey, that's me. Illustrated by Howard McWilliam. Elbow grease was the smallest truck in the demolition derby, but he never let that bother him. Why should I? His brother Tank was tougher. His brother Flash was faster. His brother Pinball was smarter. Look at that asshole Pinball making his on the spur calculations. His brother Crash was braver. You know, hang on a second. That's not the face of bravery. That is not the face of bravery right there. That's the face of someone who's got nothing to lose. The point here is that his brother Crash was nuts. All right, we get the point. Elbow grease. What elbow grease had was gumption. You got that right, bust. He had gumption. Are we teaching our kids like slang from 1920, 28? Oops, yeah, okay. Look, you know what? I really think what I'm going to do, yeah, I think I'm going to purchase the book and review it. That looks hilarious. I'll keep you posted. We'll see what happens. All right, so after learning that John Cena has a book out, Elias is out again. He wants to perform, but Baron Corbin comes out and interrupts him. And he said, and basically Corbin says, "You know what? We don't have time to accommodate you, your performance. You know, you work for me, and if you know, and you have to do what I say." And Elias is sort of like, "Well, no, I just want to play my song." And Corbin gets very uppity, very snippy, very quickly, basically saying, you know, if Stephanie, you work for me, and if Stephanie didn't like you, I would have fired you a long time ago. Get off the stage. Hit the bricks, is what he's saying. And Elias has a great line. He says, "Wait, sorry, I just came out of my personal mind space here. While you were sucking the entertainment out of the room, I was writing a song in my head." And then he starts to play a song where he makes fun of Baron Corbin, of course. Corbin is like, cut his mic, boo. Everybody starts booing because he cut his mic off. He orders Elias to leave. Elias walks out, but he walks back in as Baron Corbin starts to cut his promo and smashes his guitar across Baron Corbin's back. Ladies and gentlemen, in an evening of topsy-turvy heel face turns, I do believe that we have just witnessed an Elias face turn, which makes sense. It was a good one. JPQ in the chat says, "Big boot in history in relation to when I was talking about the Claymore." But it'll definitely go down as one of the good ones. Sami Zayn has a hell of a kick. The haluva kick. See what I did there? But for real, Sami has a great kick. my memory sort of like remember Big John Studd, but I mean I was a kid. I have to go back and check that. But the Claymore will definitely come down as one of the bigger ones, especially if it's sort of if he can fly with while he's doing it too. That's crazy, cuckoo crazy. We have the Evolution Women's Main Event contract signing. Very, very irresponsible of WWE to have been promoting a pay-per-view, a main event on the pay-per-view, and within 1 week of the event, the contract still hasn't been signed. That's bad business, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I couldn't. Like, honestly, this has very, very little heat going. This feud has go away heat. Everyone is just waiting for it to be done, I think. There's no redeeming qualities to come out of this. The Bellas start talking about Ronda's mom. Now, mom promised that she'd win the Olympics and end UFC undefeated. They were grasping at straws. Now, here's the thing. Personally, myself, last week, I felt like I was in a minority. Apparently not, though. But I felt like I was in a minority of people because I thought that Ronda's promo was really, really good and was the spark that this entire feud needed because it was all very wishy-washy and me. Whereas Ronda not only delivered her best promo since she's joined WWE, but it was a fire one. She was spitting fire. I was really, really entertained by it. A lot of people got hung up on a few things that she said, the way they were, the way it was, the subjects that it was touching on. I didn't mind because it was heat. It was good heat. So probably WWE heard the backlash and decided, okay, well this week, we won't go in as hard because people didn't like, and this is what we got. We got a very lukewarm. No, I think the word that we're looking for here is milquetoast. A very, very, very milquetoast promo that did nothing to add any form of excitement for the pay-per-view. I think Nikki Bella's delivery is so incredibly fake and so phony. Not in a is she being sincere kind of thing. No, she's performing. That's not the point. It's just she can't. And Bree's the same way. They're not good performers. They don't deliver their lines well. Ronda's getting better. She's getting more and more comfortable with it. Last week she was awesome. This week, well, she dealt with the hand. She played with the hand she was just dealt with, basically. This was insultingly dull. This was really, 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 really boring. And it for the main event of your pay-per-view in a week, your final segment to hype your main event before that pay-per-view has no right to be this bleedingly boring. This is not smart. It's not good. It was dull. We see the Shield backstage being Seth and Dean because Roman is completely gone from this point on. There are no words to explain the up and downs, and when you're run out of words, you do what you do best, and that is win. Seth says there are no words, but I have plenty of emotions, and we are going to go out there, beat Drew, beat Dolph, and we're going to do it for a win. And at that point, I'm like, well, there you go. the boys are winning the tag titles. That was telegraphed, right? Right. You wouldn't say we're going to do it for Roman on the night that Roman tells us all that he's good, that he has cancer. Not going to turn around and suddenly be like, we'll do it for Roman and then lose. Come on, that's piss poor storytelling. Ember Moon versus Nia Jax versus Tamina versus Dana Brooke in a fatal 4-way match that lasted 3 minutes. I watched a battle royal in WCW recently. I watched World War III 1998, and I was looking at the match times before heading into the pay-per-view. And I was like, how do you do a 60-man battle royal? How do you make that fit into 22 minutes? Well, they did it. I can explain why. But, if anyone asks me, hey, can you fit a fatal 4-way in 3 minutes? Sure, it's been done. Oh. Before the match started, I was wondering, I was thinking to myself, I said, do you think Nia, Tamina, Dana, and Ember, do you think they can all throw each other over the top rope again this week like they did last week? Because I'm not sure I understand the rules to a battle royal. So, if they can show me again this week, that'd be great. It'll make sure that I really understand before we actually get into the event. And then I'm confronted with the situation. It's good that I know the rules before. And that'd be great if they could do that. It'd be great. But they didn't do it. Ends with Ember Moon winning with an eclipse. Tamina did a nice super kick. That's pretty much it, though. The message they were pulling across here is it's every woman for themselves. We kind of get it at this stage when it comes to battle royals, Trish and Lita are backstage. They're talking about making history. Then they get confronted by Alicia Fox, who was just a distraction for Mickie James to come in. And they attack the Legends, but then the Legends fire back. And they beat up Mickie and Alicia, and then they say, that's how you do it in the Attitude Era. Cringe. Main event time is Dolph and Drew versus The Shield, or at least 2/3 of it, Dean and Seth, who are in control until the heels get control during the commercial. There's an early hot tag to Seth. Seth dives onto Drew and Dolph on the outside, but Drew gets back in control. Dolph comes in, gets some headlocks in, belly to back suplex on Seth to get out, but Drew comes in. He tries to get out. And go and tag over to Dean, but Drew comes in and keeps him from tagging. Seth hits an enziguri that takes out Drew. Dolph runs in. He tosses Dolph to the outside, then reaches over to Dean. And this was really stupid because, well, it's not stupid, but it looked weird. I think it's just a question of timing because Seth basically he was close to Dean, and he tosses Dolph over. And Seth then sort of reaches over. He's been trying to get the hot tag, and he reaches over to Dean, and there's probably like 4 feet separating them at this point. And he sort of reaches over very nonchalantly, and then Dean is using his far arm to try and get the tag, waiting for Dolph to come and interrupt it. It looked kind of strange. Drew at some point hits a really savage-looking Alabama slam. It really looks harsh. Coming all the way over Drew McIntyre onto the ground. Are you kidding me? Back from commercial, Dean is up on the top rope with Drew. He pushes him off, rolls through an elbow, neck breaker by Dean, frog splash by Seth, and then Dean dives to Dolph on the outside. Seth covers Drew, but only gets 2. Very nice little sequence of some explosive and fast tag action between these two guys. We get some top rope shenanigans between Seth and Drew that leads to Drew from the Tree of Woe grabbing Seth off the top rope and face slamming him. Super face slamming him. That was really cool. Then Dolph goes up top. Seth runs up for the superplex into a Falcon Arrow. He hits it from A to Z. Why is this not a finisher? I don't know. This should end the match. Let's be frank. Drew hits the Claymore and Dean zigzag from Dolph. Covers. Only gets 2. The crowd is into it. Then Braun's music hits. There's a ref bump as well. Braun goes after Drew and they brawl into the audience and right into the concessions. They're off to fight amidst the hot dogs and the sodas and the overpriced beer. Drew is out of here. Dolph is alone, so he goes for the titles to use them in the ring. But no! Seth gets the stomp on him, and we have new tag champs. And we are all sitting there saying, of course, this is the best possible outcome when you consider everything. Because, man, oh man. What a better way to finish Raw than to have Roman's 2 best buds. Win the titles. Feel good ending. Everyone goes home happy. No! You're not going home happy tonight, folks. Because Dean Ambrose turns on Seth Rollins. Turns around and he dirty deeds him out of nowhere. Plants him right on the mat. Then starts beating the living freckles off of Seth Rollins. Did Seth Rollins have freckles before this? Well, there's no way to check now, because if he did, they've been beaten straight off his face. Dean gets him on to the outside, beats him up some more, tears off the mat to expose the concrete on the floor, and hits the dirty deeds on the concrete. And there was a little oomph there. There's a little extra something. That looked like a pretty vicious double underhook, pile driver, DDT there. Folks, not exactly a double underhook DDT, but dirty deeds. And everyone is stunned. I'm stunned. And no one quite understands exactly what happened. But what an outcome, though. Because, of course, at this stage, we were all expecting Roman's buddies to win. That made sense. I had completely dismissed Dean Ambrose turning because he had been so... It had been telegraphed so much at this stage. There was no reason to think that it would actually happen anymore. But it did. It did. So I have over here on the Warren board. No, it's not a whiteboard. It's the Warren board. Mother always said branding is important. So what I've conducted here, what I've prepared here, is what I'd like to call the heat-o-meter. All right. So I'm gonna place here after tonight. This is what I'm gonna do here. We're gonna evaluate, where a couple of wrestlers fall on the heat meter tonight. Okay, so let's say Apollo Crews. All right. Well, Apollo is he's he's not that further up. That's not how high he is. But then the heat keeps going up here. Keeps rising here, even filling out a bit here. Who would be up on this level of heat? Well, I'd say Bobby Lashley. I feel like Bobby Lashley is coming into his own as a heel. I think he's not quite there yet, but I think the pairing with Leo Rush is a good idea, and it's better off that they try something with poor old Bobby because the babyface thing definitely wasn't working. So I think especially putting him in a feud with well-liked Finn Balor, who can probably work really well with him to get a great match out of old Bob's. I think that there's something to be said about it. But then everything fills out here and explodes at the top, right? And just starts boiling over, and it heads over here. That's all the way over here. All this heat here, and it gushes. It's gushing all over the place like a geyser of heat, a heat geyser. And it comes over here, and it transforms into a face, an angry face. Grr, it has pointy teeth. Who would be up there at the top of the heatometer? Dino. I mean, Dean turning on the guys on the night that Roman says, "You know what? I'm sick. I fear I might be dying. I have a life-threatening disease that I have to go take care of, guys. I'm sorry." This is the night that Dean Ambrose decides to turn. Well, I had said it. I had at least called this. So I said, if the Shield is going to break up because of a betrayal, well, it's not going to be Seth again. I had at least called that. But I had given up on Dean Ambrose for real. And I don't know if it's genius or if it's sloppy. I don't know. They had telegraphed it so incredibly hard. It's not even as... I guess that's where the surprise is that they had been talking about it so much that they had... It's like reverse psychology. We'll talk about it, and people won't expect it when it happens because we have talked about it so much, made it such a possibility that no one will think that it'll actually happen. I guess. What a thing. This was a thing. This was a very packed edition of Monday Night Raw. We have seen potentially 3 turns tonight. Braun Strowman, forgot to mention this, Braun Strowman is probably a face again. Elias is a face. And Dean is back on the dark side. I think this is interesting. I think it's a good move to do the Dean heel turn. I think his character will benefit. I think his career will benefit. I'm really excited to see how things are going to position themselves for Survivor Series now. Can't wait for this Crown Royal business to be over and done with. Crown Jewel. I can't take it anymore. So, that will wrap up this really fun and unexpected and topsy-turvy episode of Monday Night Raw. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much to everyone who joined me in the chat tonight. Again, if you enjoyed it, let me know. Let me know, and I might do it tomorrow for SmackDown again. This was cool. It was fun. I felt like I was in a good groove. Let me know what you guys thought of all of that, either in the comments here or over on Twitter. That's where you can find me at Mr. Warren Hayes. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the SmackDown live show. And then on Thursday, later on this week, Thursday or Friday, haven't decided yet exactly. It'll either be Thursday or Friday. Evolution predictions. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be fun. And sometimes we're just entitled to have fun. It'll be cool. So that's it. I think that's pretty much it for now. Guys, thank you so much for joining